Hello and welcome to Scran, the podcast passionate about the Scottish food and drink scene. I'm your host, Rosalind, and on this episode I took a trip to the Pitt in Edinburgh. Named after its birthplace on Pitt Street, this street food and community hub is doing things a little differently. I met with founder Hal Prescott, who told me all about how the popularity of the Pitt has grown since its beginnings in 2015 and how expansion has brought many opportunities and its fair share of challenges.
This site isn't about food and drink, it's about enterprise. There's food and drink led, but there's music, there's saunas, some shops and retail coming in, and we're speaking to some other partners as well who are hopefully going to have space here.
I also chat to some of the traders who are working out of containers on the new site in Granton. First up is Nicole and Ameer Limbu of Choola, who make some of the best bhajis I have ever tasted.
Our most popular dish is our pork momos. When we started the business in 2023, we actually won the Scottish and British Street Food Awards, and that was one of our winning dishes.
Robin Strigner of the Buffalo Truck tells me about being with the Pitt since its inception.
The original Pit was much more sort of ramshackle than this. It was just a yard, just a small yard, and that was the original Pit. And people were really excited for it because there wasn't much in the way of street food around at the time. It was kind of new, and we hit it on a real sort of upward trend.
Finally, Andi, Spiers, Fergusson and Euan Casserley share how their passion to travel has influenced their cooking and the lifestyle choice of running a number of street food businesses.
Essentially, we managed to go travelling last winter to South Korea and Japan for 3 months, where we just basically tasted all the food, ate everything, ate our way around, and came back and started Fireball.
Here's Hal and I chatting about how he came to found the Pitt. Okay, I'm now joined by Hal Prescott, who's the founder of the Pitt in Edinburgh. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. So we're here, it's your first day open of the new year. It's really exciting. Could you just take us back to how it all started 10 years ago now?
I can try. It's a bit of a long story, so I'll try and keep it a bit short. I guess when I was at school, I was always sort of enamoured by people that work for themselves, that sort of thing. And I guess that's kind of lingered in the back of my mind for ages. And then from then, I went to university. And when I was at university, I got a job in a cocktail bar in Aberdeen. Shout out to Bar 99. And I kind of got into cocktails there, and just that there was more to a bar than just serving a pint or serving a vodka and coke or whatever. There's cocktails, and then through that there was you got introduced to brand managers, and they come and do training and tell you about brands and all this sort of stuff. And it was and that kind of opened my eyes to look at all these brands, and there's a reason why you drink that like that, or where that whiskey's come from, or why it tastes like that, and all these backstories and all these things. And that kind of caught my attention. So when I left uni, I was like, I quite like the idea of the drinks industry. Sounds quite fun. A lot of that in the UK. And then I joined the Majestic Wine grad scheme because they did wine exams and that sort of stuff, and that seemed like a nice way into it, and that was quite good fun. Did some wine exams, and you ran some shops, and that was a really good company to work for. And then I worked for a wine importer in London, so I ended up actually selling wine to Majestic and some of the supermarkets and things like that. Again, that was eye-opening. And then I was in London, and the whole street food thing was kind of starting and kicking off and popping up everywhere. And I was kind of going to festivals as that sort of age. And I was like, you know what? I'd really like to work for myself, and maybe I could do a street food thing and that sort of stuff. And then I was actually at a festival, I think, on the Isle of Wight. There was a seafood guy doing seafood from a boat, and it's took me back to a memory as a child. We had relatives in Norway where we visited, and they had this crab festival on, and I was like, oh my gosh, crab on fries, that's so delicious and a bit strange. And UK has a big crab industry, but we export a lot of our shellfish and all this sort of stuff. So I sort of started scratching the surface, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And anyway, long story short, I started a crab on fries street food stall in London. Was the first venture into it with a friend, and that was the start of it. moved to Edinburgh, and I thought I'll take it with me. And then because I was walking past and I saw a police box that was for lease, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that, a police box, all this sort of stuff. I had only done a few things in London, so it was kind of really naive. But anyway, that was the start of it. And then from there, I met Scotty, who I co-founded the Pit with, because where we were trading, it was kind of not happening, and the whole street food thing hadn't really started up here. So I was like, look, this thing's happening in London. That's where I come from. We should do it. And he's like, I know where we could do it. I got these guys that have this yard on Pitt Street, and that was that.
And that's why it's the Pit.
That's why it's the Pit. Because you name where you are. Say where you are. Say what you eat.
But you're not there anymore. So how has it evolved to where we are now?
So that was 2015. First street food focused market in Scotland. A lot of stories in between now and then. But basically where that was, that part of the street was always earmarked for development, so we always knew we were on a short-term lease, so we couldn't really invest much into the site, and it was rolling year by year. So it was fun there. It was really great. It was really kind of grassroots and all that sort of stuff. But halfway through COVID, we were told that it's time that they want to develop it, and we needed to move out. And then that kind of restarted this whole project of sort of the evolution of that. And it was kind of worrying for a long time, because as a street food operator and in a vibrant and busy and cosmopolitan city like Edinburgh, the idea of having an outdoor hospitality place somewhere in the city centre is not an easy thing to do, because of noise complaints and just because of sort of certain types of NIMBYism, whether you agree with them or not, and all this sort of stuff. It was kind of very hard, and all the places we looked at was like, not going to work, not going to be a starter. So luckily, we got a phone call out of the blue from a charity called Edinburgh Palette, and they said, hey, we're taking on this huge project in North Edinburgh. It needs a food and drink sort of concession. Perhaps you guys could be it. So, and they'd been to the Pit to have a team lunch, and they thought, yeah. So that was the start of that, and that put this venue on the map for us.
So yeah, you mentioned we're in North Edinburgh. Can you explain like exactly where we are and what you can see? I mean, we're in your office just now, but across the water, I can see where I'm from, which is Fife, and it's lovely, the view and the water, and it would be nice when it's sunny. But can you just sort of explain where we are? 20
West Shore Road is the address. We are, when I first turned up, it's an industrial yard in between sort of Gypsy Bray and New Haven, Trinity sort of thing, and it's right on the promenade, and there's amazing views across the Forth. And as soon as I turned up here, I was like, yes, it's a yes from me. It's a done deal. It doesn't sort of matter, because being in touch with nature and being on the promenade, it was an easy yes. You know, Granton is going through huge changes at the moment. There's a £1 billion regeneration project happening over the next 10 years. The trams are due to come here, but that's a different podcast, I guess. And yeah, it's really exciting. And I guess to labour that point, with the whole kind of philosophy or strategy is that we're here to sort of be a bit of a melting pot for the community, for the old Granton and the new Granton and these new developments, and then enterprise of the community and different community groups. So that's the gist, and it all kind of feels right to me anyway. Yeah.
And so when you come in, you've got lots of different containers with different people cooking. We're going to speak to some of them. But to go back, when you first launched, I take it was very well received, because within Glasgow it's kickstarted like the Big Feed and Dockyard Social, and street food markets are now, you know, people know what they are and know what to expect. But at the time, was it like, what's going on, or how was it received?
So yeah, back in 2015, I guess Instagram was kind of, it feels funny now because I've kind of gone through the history of kind of social media. I was my first phone was just a phone or whatever. So it's quite funny that I've now got this lived experience, and I've got a young child now. So I look forward to sort of explaining that history. But anyway, we actually ironically started in December as well in 2015. And I think it actually snowed on our first day. But I feel like back then social media wasn't as cluttered then. If you said you were going to do something on Twitter, it was quite easily that people would pick up on it, and actually a broad group of people would pick up on it, rather than just, I guess, influencers or things that have been a bit more contrived, as they maybe feel like these days. We shared the yard with an active sort of mechanic. It was always a really genuine place where it was changing constantly. There were weird things around, like old motorbikes or half-stripped engines or whatever. So it felt really genuine. It was poppy and that, and I think that's what we've tried to kind of keep as time's gone on. It's like, we just want to be genuine and We want to try and do it as simply as possible and provide it as cheap as possible for the traders and the customers and everything else. So
2015, you're saying there wasn't really street food markets, although you had your crab and chips. How did you go about finding other traders to join the pit? Did you go to businesses, or did you already know a few other kind of pop-ups?
It's all a timing thing, and it's all like serendipity, I guess, like looking back now. But at the time, there wasn't. There was maybe a handful of people that operated in Edinburgh, and funnily enough, one of them said, like, "Oh no, I used to live in Leith. Like, I would like, what do you want to trade in Leith for? It's completely whatever." So. And I won't name names because they're very popular these days.
In Leith?
Well, across the city, they're well. Anyway, so we put the word out. There was a few people, and that was the beginning of the sort of wave as well. So, you had some people coming from a bit further afield. But yeah, from day one, we still work with one or two of those people. And luckily enough, some of the people that started with us in that first sort of year now have a couple of restaurants or have gone off into, fully fledged catering for celebrities or festivals or going on tour and things like that. So it's nice to have, we've now lived it, and that's where I think we're adding value now to the traders coming through.
It must be nice to see. So you've brought people along for the journey, and then they've gone off and done their own thing, and I'm assuming more and more people come in. And so how do you pick who's come here?
So thankfully we picked some people that had patience, because this has been a 3-year project up to now. Robin from the Buffalo Truck has been with us from pretty much the beginning of his journey, and he's fully independent, but we work really well together, and his product's amazing. So he's always been on this journey with us. And then the idea of this place, because we've actually evolved into a community interest company, and we've got social sort of strategies, things like that, we wanted to pick people that we could, don't want to take credit for anyone's work, but that we can nurture, and people that want to grow and have a plan and have an ambition that we think that we can add value to. Can
you tell us a bit more about the social strategy?
Yes, so this has been quite a journey and exciting as well, and it's definitely like heart of the project and the area and everything else. So when we were making the decision, it all went back to basics, and we're like, okay, well, what are we about? We're going to need substantial funding for this. How are we going to do that? How, it's a different community to the ones in Leith. It's not quite as well connected. We want to be, we really have to be part of the community, and it's a much bigger project and all these different things. So a lot of the last 3 years have been kind of working that out. And so, like I said before, we've changed to a community interest company. So we're a not-for-profit, and we have a strategy where the community's interests are at the heart of what we do, and there'll be more of that as time goes on here that we can communicate with and get more and more people involved. But basically what that means for us is that we want to create jobs, but through that it's by supporting enterprise. We want to build, and the government thing is building wealth in the community. That is, what that translates to is letting these enterprises make a success of it, and not strangling them through different rent schemes and things like that. We want our traders to be a real success and then move on from there. So, for example, we're hoping that the traders, we're putting them on sort of 18-month contracts. We're hoping that during that time, they'll get some really good trading under their belt. We can sort of help them do their taxes. We can help them with their first employees. We can then identify whether they want to go on the festival circuit, or whether they want to get a restaurant, or whether they just want to go into catering, or whether they've got really cool products they maybe want to try and get into the supermarket or something like that. And then we can hopefully open doors and introduce them to people that can help them make that happen, and also share mistakes which we've made in the past, or which other people within our community have sort of made in the past. So building that community. The other part is then Granton, and Granton's really well known for having a lot of really good community operators and partnerships. There's this thing called the R2 network that kind of links them all together, that works really well. So we want to sort of help them be another conduit to the public, whether that be just as a sort of information piece, or help them fundraise and that sort of thing. So we're trying to do it on quite a few different levels. So far, it's been quite exciting, and we're learning stuff every day. So it's nice to have that strategy rather than just let's make as much money as we can.
Which is rare these days.
It's been a fascinating thing looking into a community interest company, because when we first started, we just set up as a limited company, and it was like, because that was just all you knew or you'd heard of. Whereas, there's some of these different vehicles, and it makes to me, I'm like, well, why aren't more companies maybe suited to do this? Because it's not like you can't make money and everyone gets paid, but it's like our strategy has the community at heart. So I think it's interesting. Maybe another podcast.
So can you tell people what they can expect when they come? Because obviously this is new for people who are fans. We walked in and we saw the sauna first, so that was quite interesting.
Yeah, so as I said, we're on the promenade of Granton, which is connected all the way to Cramond. So there's, I think, 3 or 4 miles of like amazing scenery on the tarmac. It's really quite busy with active travel users. Main entrance day to day is through the promenade. So as you said, you come across the saunas first. And that's just to say that, this site isn't about food and drink, it's about enterprise. There's food and drink led, but there's music, there's saunas, some shops and retail coming in, and we're speaking to some other partners as well who are hopefully going to have space here. And then also pop-up market starting as well in the spring. You walk in off the promenade and then you walk into our outdoor yard, which has about 15 businesses, mostly based in shipping containers. And then you walk through our doors into the main indoor sort of marketplace. There's loads of seating, indoor bar. Granton Youth, one of the local organisations, have a corner that they curate themselves. And lots of blank space that we'll be filling with art and murals over the future.
So no one needs to worry about the weather. There's plenty of indoor seating and you're going to be doing events and stuff.
Yeah, really dog friendly, really child friendly, really people friendly. So free entry. The market all the time. We hope to have loads of different workshops here. There's all sorts of different spaces that people could rent or hire, and we just want to partner with anyone and everyone that's looking for a space.
And are you open 7 days a week, just over weekends?
Currently it's Thursday to Sunday. Maybe when the clocks go back we'll add Wednesday, and then might get on to talking about it, but we're inheriting the rest of the warehouse, which is 5 times the size of this, and hope to have sort of 50 to 60 businesses on the site, and then it'll be a 7-day-a-week operation.
It's exciting times.
Yeah.
I imagine there's more to that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting, but a bit scary.
What are your main challenges and goals, do you think, for 2025?
I mean, the main challenges are all the normal. It's weirdly, it's the bins, it's certain people in the council, and the weather really are the challenges. The goals are just to, get the right mix of people and enterprises here and making sure that we deliver on our commitment to the community. But I mean, it's also exciting and it's a big melting pot. So.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this because I imagine it's really quite hard. But what's your favourite thing to eat when you're here?
I couldn't possibly say. Luckily enough, it changes every day, and there's enough that I can pick and choose, and then I can feel a bit healthy by jumping in the sauna and getting in the sea.
Well, thank you very much. Looking forward to trying some of the food and speaking to some of the traders.
Thank you for your time.
So we're at Choola now, one of the traders at the pit. So can you guys tell us how long you've been here for, like as part of the pit?
We've just been there for a month now. 2 months technically, but we were shut in January. But we opened up at the start of December.
Yeah.
So right. We traded all the way through there, and we've all been off for January and back again today.
And how long has the business in its entirety been going? Are you that new?
We're coming up for 2 years old this year in about April. We started in April 2023. And we started with a small trailer that we took around to different markets across Fife and Edinburgh and further afield. So coming into the pit, this is kind of like our next step up. We're now in a shipping container, so we've got a lot more room, a lot more space to do lots of cool things. So
yeah, that gives us an opportunity to kind of explore a little bit more into Nepalese cuisine, do some crazy dishes that we couldn't do in our tiny little trailer. So yeah, it gives us a lot more opportunity and hopefully feed people some good food as well.
So what are some of your crazy dishes?
Well, we're actually just working through them. We try and change our menu kind of quite frequently. So at the moment we're kind of doing a bit more seasonal produce. Every month we're changing it up according to the seasons, and also we kind of put on specials every weekend. So you'll kind of, every time you come up, there should hopefully be a kind of brand new dish that you haven't tried before. So many new dishes that folk haven't tried, so I'm not exactly sure where to start. But
I guess our most popular dish is our pork momos. When we started the business in 2023, we actually won the Scottish and British Street Food Awards, and that was one of our winning dishes. So momos are super popular in Nepal. Like, you'll find them everywhere. They're such a staple. So they're kind of one of our like main dishes.
I would say the buffalo tarkari as well has been really popular, and it's not something that you see in the kind of everyday restaurant or any kind of food traders. So that's quite a unique one for us, along with probably the aldam silroti, which is like a really traditional dish, kind of made from the bread is kind of fried. It's made from kind of rice flour, so it's kind of one of those dishes that you only see in homes in Nepal. But you can't really buy it anywhere apart from here, usually.
And so do you find people kind of know what things are? Or are they very much like, what is this?
So, we've always had kind of struggled to kind of really kind of, we have to explain to people a lot, and they have lots of questions for us, which is great, it gets people talking about what the dish is. And this is one of the main reasons we kind of started this business as well, is to hopefully introduce people to different flavours and different dishes. So we're getting lots of opportunities to do that.
And where do you get the inspiration for the food?
Well, I'm from Nepal originally. I've been here a long time, but that's kind of, my childhood was there, and I'm still very heavily influenced by the culture, particularly because of my parents, and it's such a community focused kind of culture. Like, kind of, we look after each other, we share food with each other. So that's been the main inspiration for us, I think.
I think Ameer's mum as well is such an amazing cook, and Ameer kind of grew up watching his mum in the kitchen and things, so took a lot of inspiration from her amazing food. But I think we're also keen to like add our own little twist to things as well, to make it our own and make it very unique. So.
Yeah.
Does your mum come to visit, and does she end up working when she does?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, she, kind of, we see them a lot, but still, she's here most of the time, to be honest, kind of most busy weekends, etc. She's always here helping out, along with Nicole's mum as well.
It's just the two of us really just now. We don't have any other staff, so as you can imagine, when it's busy, it's a lot for us, but we've managed to rope in both mums to help us on the busier weekends, which has been great.
It's really kind of keeping it in the family kind of thing.
So what are your hopes for the year ahead?
We see this moving into the pit as our next step in the business. So with the kind of small trailer that we had, it was a lot more difficult to sort of grow the business. So that's what we hope to do this year, expand the team, as we say, like do a lot more dishes and things. I think our long-term goal is to hopefully look at a restaurant. So this is kind of a stepping stone to that. It's great here being alongside all the other traders, we kind of learn from each other. There's a good community spirit, and with the sort of plans for the pit, having that sort of mentorship side as well, so we can kind of start to grow the business and see where it takes us. I'm
kind of really excited for this year with the pit just opening. It's got endless possibilities right now, so we're really excited to see kind of where this venture goes, and we're very positive about it as well. And we're really kind of focused on this at the moment, but as Nicole said, kind of we're kind of thinking about opportunities for the future as well, alongside just making this happen.
So do you do any outside catering for anyone that wants to see you elsewhere?
Yeah, absolutely, we do, but just really depends though, because we're such a small team that if we can take it on, then we will, but usually...
We do have a couple of weddings already booked in for this year, which we're really excited about. And we have done weddings in the past, kind of corporate events. As I say, we did a lot of markets before. We will hopefully do a couple of those this year. And then once we grow the team, our hope is that we can operate from here, but we can still go with our trailer to other markets. So, for example, one of our kind of favourite markets, Bowhouse in Fife. We love going there. We've got so many customers come to visit us. Balgovlarder as well. So eventually we would like to go back there as well, because we love it there so much. So hopefully slowly but surely.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Well, thanks for coming.
Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you.
My name's Robin Strigner and my business is the Buffalo Truck.
So you've been with the pit from pretty much the start. So can you tell us how that kind of came about?
That was back in 2016, I believe, and I think I came to the second ever pit. I met Hal through a friend, and she told me that he was looking at starting a street food thing, and that was just after I'd sort of come up with the idea for mine as well, so the timing just kind of worked.
I mean, obviously it's a really popular dish now, but when you first started, was it kind of just becoming popular, or how's that all evolved?
Well, when I first started, I kind of wanted to do the burgers that I do now, and I was doing wings as well, so it was also like wing focused, and so buffalo wings I knew about already, and I wanted to kind of share that. But as time went on, the burgers were so much more popular that we ended up sort of only putting them on as a special sometimes, so the buffalo thing remained, and we've got a buffalo burger as well. So
how did you come to run a food truck? Have you always been in food, or a chef, or...?
I've worked in hospitality on and off since I was young, since I was about 15, but I was actually a marine biologist before I did this, and it was time for a bit of a career change from that, so I went back to cooking in like a sort of fine dining restaurant. Couldn't really hack that, so started my own thing.
What's it like being here now compared to like the start of the pit? Because it's evolved quite a bit over the last 10 years.
The original pit was much more sort of ramshackle than this. It was just a yard, just a small yard, and that was the original pit. And people were really excited for it because there wasn't much in the way of street food around at the time. It was kind of new, and we hit it on a real sort of upward trend. But then it sort of outgrew the space eventually. But luckily, the warehouse next door came up, so it all became integrated, and that was sort of Pit 2.0, if you like. And now this is Pit 3.0, and it's bigger and better than ever, I guess.
Do you only operate here, or do you have other places?
So we always trade at the Fringe at George Square. That's a really busy month for us, so that's a lot of fun. And we've also got a trailer that we can take to private events and public events. So yeah, basically we can bring our street food to people's weddings and parties and things like that.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We're now at Fireball with Andi and Euan. Hello guys, how are you?
Hi.
Oh, good, yeah. Hi.
So how long has Fireball been going as a business?
Fireball, it's just new. Our debut with Fireball was at the Edinburgh Fringe in August, and that was kind of Underbelly taking a chance on our concept that we pitched to them for the first time. And this is our permanent market stall that opened in December. So this is us in our second month trading properly, and we're really excited.
And how did it all come about as a business?
Well, we've got 2 other food trucks as well, so this is our third one. We do Lemon Squeezy and Wing Theory as well, our 2 other ones. Fireball kind of started out of a love of like Korean and Japanese cooking, and we managed to go travelling last winter to South Korea and Japan for 3 months, where we just like basically tasted all the food, ate everything, ate our way around, and came back and started Fireball.
Like Euan's first ever restaurant job was in a Korean restaurant in Edinburgh. It's called Kim's Many Meals. It's amazing.
My favourite restaurant in the world.
Yeah.
So
And that started like from at that point we didn't know we would work in hospitality, but you loved Korean cooking from that point on. And so for us, going to Korea and Japan was like a huge dream. And it was just from kind of success we had with our other food trucks that we were able to fund it. And we went last year for the first time, and the food was amazing, and Fireball was a product of that.
And what was about, so you've got a few food trucks, what is it about street food that kind of appeals to you guys?
it's very fun. Like, I kind of love the travelling around, meeting different people, doing different like pop-ups, and like the kind of nomadic lifestyle of it. I love that. And also like there's a real camaraderie among the street food traders. Like everyone's so friendly and helping each other out, and we all swap food and things. Like so. I kind of love that aspect of it.
I think it suited our lifestyle. Like, we wanted to travel, we wanted time, we wanted to manage our own diaries, and we didn't have enough money for our own restaurant or anything. We started this a couple of years ago when we were like 23 or something, and it was an accessible way for like us to enter into owning our own business and practice running that, and deciding, in street food particularly, it's very seasonal, so we do like almost the whole year's trade in 4 months in the summer, and it takes, that if you do a good summer, it takes pressure off the winter, and it allows flexibility if we want to travel, or I think the freedom of that lifestyle, I don't really know any other industries that could offer the same thing for us right now, so I think that's, and I love of food for sure.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what's on the menu here for people that come to visit?
Yeah, so we've got our kind of donburi that we do, which is our main thing. That's like the rice with meat or tofu and a sauce of your choice, which is our kind of staple. And then we have our sides as well. So we have yakitori skewers, which is essentially like chicken and spring onion. We have different skewers, chicken thigh, and then a prawn skewer as well, which we dip in a homemade whiskey tari, which is like whiskey and dark soy sauce, sugar and ginger, garlic.
But like traditionally, like
glaze.
in Japan, like they have lots of little appetizers that go alongside like people drinking like at night, and so it's like little wee pieces. Like when you see our skewers, they're not so big, but they're kind of made like they're very kind of salty. They're made to go with like drinking at the same time. And in Japan, it's traditionally made with sake. It's like a really sticky tari that's made with sake that it all gets dipped in and then like flame on the open flame. But when we brought it back home to Scotland, we thought it would work with it's the same kind of depth of flavour that whiskey has here, and obviously we can source it locally, and we have options with what whiskey we choose and whatever. So you kind of made it your own with that recipe.
Yeah, perfect beer snacks as well.
Perfect beer snacks, yeah.
Perfect.
Which is going to be amazing here by the water, beer, snacks.
Totally, yeah. Come the summer, like when the sun's out, it's going to be amazing.
That's the dream, yeah.
Yeah, so before we started, you told me you're on Deliveroo, so what's the expectation there? How's that all going?
I mean, we've literally
We
just
don't
started,
know.
so we'll, if you come back in a couple of weeks, we'll tell you, but hopefully it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of new kind of property developments and stuff in Granton, and a lot of young people moving into this area, so hopefully there's going to be a kind of market for new interesting kind of foods in the local area, so fingers crossed. As long as you can get someone to cycle out, for deliveries, like it's a bit of a trek.
The area generally, like that's what's fun to be part of the pit. Like this area generally isn't that well serviced in terms of like food options, like kind of even bar scenes, anything really, and there's a lot of people that live here. So we're kind of hoping to be part of a bit more of a food culture in the north of Edinburgh. We're really trying to work with the pit and with some local charities to really become a part of the community and not something that's, I don't know, it's the new wave of the community, so we want to make sure we're doing that like hand in hand with the original community at the same time. So we're hoping like by being accessible, even if people maybe can't come down to the actual location of the pit right now, it's a bit far out to get access, like people could still try the food like from their homes, so we're trying to deliver it.
And what is it you're looking forward to most about this year?
We're just looking forward to kind of exploring like the menu and what we can do with the business. This is our, as we said, our third food truck, but we really put everything we learned from the other two into this one. It's our first time in a fixed location, and we're really just we don't have high expectations, we just want to see what happens. We want to try and make an impression with like the local people with the food that we make, and try and grow our brand just in Edinburgh a little bit, hopefully get back to the fringe. Other than that, just have fun.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
It smells lovely. Thanks to my guests for being on this episode, and also thanks for the delicious food that we tried while at the pit. Thanks to you too for listening. Please remember to rate, review and subscribe so you never miss an episode of Scran. Scran is co-produced and hosted by me, Rosalind, and co-produced, edited and mixed by Kelly Crichton.